We're going to look at the groupings of monocots. Monocots are classified with parallel leaf veins. They have strap-shaped leaves for the most part. The flower parts are in threes, and they have fibrous roots. When we look at these, we're going to look at a bunch of different orders within the monocots, and they all tend to have very similar groupings within each order. The first order we look at is the Lineales. These have large flowers. They tend to have a bulb, and they have 6 tepals. Now, what a tepal is we've talked about sepals and we've talked about petals. When you can't tell the difference between the sepals and the petals, we call them tepals. So here we've got a large lily flower, and you can look at this, and it looks magnificent. If we look at it from the end, you can see that it's got 6 tepals. You can't really tell which one's the petal and which one's the sepal, and that's why we call them tepals. On the inside, it's got 6 stamens. It has got a pistil that is triangular in shape up on the top, so it really has 3 lobes to it. So we're looking at flower parts in 6. And the Lineales is a very large group in here. We're going to look at the Asparagales, and you can see the word asparagus in here because asparagus is actually a member of this family. When we look at this family, it's got tepals again, and this is a very large family that encompasses a lot of different types of organisms in it, and we're going to take a representative view. These are Gladiolus, and Gladiolus is very interesting because it produces these rather pretty flowers, but the flowers tend to be on one side of the inflorescence. This is another look at a Gladiolus, and you can see there's quite a lot of different flowers on them. Here is a iris. It has got 3 flowers coming out of a central stalk, so to speak, and you can see how they're quite ornate and quite pretty. This is the flower of an onion. It's a small little flower. It's got 6 parts to it, and it produces these little black seeds, which are onion seeds. This is another type of onion, but this is a more ornamental type, and you can see that the inflorescence here, everything comes out from a central point and comes out at many different heights in here. This is an orchid, and orchids are members of the Asparagale. And again, you can see that they tend to have unicolor type tepals on them, and orchids are rather unique in the way they are put together. This is another type of orchid, and you can see the very beautiful colors that come with it. Third orchid, again, very unique colors with it. In the Asparagales, we also have things like Agave or Spanish bayonet. This is a low-growing plant. Sometimes these are called century plants because they take a long time to flower. They grow very low, and they only flower once a year. The flower of this particular one looks like this scape that has shot up into the air, and the plant itself was probably about 2.5 feet tall, where the scape reached about 8 or 9 feet in height. This is blue agave, and this was in front of a restaurant, and there's the scape on this. It, seen from a different perspective, is this. Now you can see the power lines that go nearby, and those were high tension lines, and the power company actually cut this down because it was as tall as the power line. So we're looking a good 30 or so feet up in the air. And this is the agave that they use to make tequila with. We have the Aracales. The Aracales are basically palm trees, and what we see is plants that look like this. You can see that these have palmate type leaves. The leaf comes out, central spot, and the leaflets radiate out from a central spot there. This is a palm tree, and this is found along the ocean, so some of them do live in very sandy type soils. These are palms. This is one that I saw down in Brazil, and these stately palms were probably about 50 to 60 feet in the air. They were quite tall. Here's a shorter palm and another palm, and you can see that they've got different types of leaves on them, but they are, again, very stately and very palm-like when we see them. The fruits of the palm often look like this. They look like dates, or they look like little fruits there. These are coconuts that come off of a coconut palm. And again, the outer part of it tends to be fibrous, and the inner part is where you find the seed. We have the Lineales, and these have 3 ranked flowers. You can see that this only has 3 what you would call petals. It's got 6 stamens, and it's got one pistil, but it's only got the 3 flowers in there. This particular one has a basal part that looks like leaves, and they kind of are in boat shaped, and they kind of come out with the flower nestled on the inside. We have the Poales. The Poales really has 2 very distinctive groups in it. One is the rushes and sedges. Sedges look like this. They have 3 ranks on it. They really have triangular stems, and they have the strap-shaped leaf with the parallel leaf veins. You can see this one is much the same way. It's coming out 3-ranked. These tend to be very important type weeds worldwide. This, again, is a sedge. This is often called nut sedge because it's got little nutlets in the ground, little tubers that when you pull the plant up, it will regenerate from the tubers. You can see the inflorescence up on the top of it. There are no real flower petals on it, but it is an inflorescence as well. And we've got the rushes, and the rushes have round stems. This is a cattail or a bulrush, and when we look at these have round stems. They've got strap-shaped leaves. Some of these get to be fairly tall, 2 or so meters, and the inflorescence looks like this. And that is the female part. You can notice on the top of it that the stalk is kind of bare, and that was where the male inflorescence was. And the seeds are found inside of this hot dog-like shape. If you look at the base, again, these are round rather than square, and they come out looking almost like a grass. The Poales also includes the Bromeliads, and Bromeliads are quite interesting plants. They look like this. There are many different flowering type Bromeliads. Again, they have a strap-shaped leaf. They have parallel leaf veins, and when it flowers, the inflorescence comes out of the center. This is a bromeliad. This is called Spanish moss, and it's very common in the southern United States, and it produces a rather unique flower, which is rather tiny, and this is, somewhere around a ½ inch at best in size, and you can see how it's a very tiny flower, and from that it will produce seed. This is a bromeliad, and you can see the top of it, the way it is whirled around, and you can see the pretty purplish flowers that are coming out of it, and you can see that some of the flowers have already blossomed or they're withered, and some flowers have come out, and there may be some more flowers coming out of this. These tend to grow vegetatively. If you take the top part off, that will actually regrow. Now that one looked from the side looks like this, and you can see the basal part looks like the flowers have already withered, and you've got the flowers up on the top. If you let it mature, it looks like this. Yes, that is a pineapple. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see the little chambers where the flowers came out. And the little dark specks on the inside are actually the seeds. So pineapples are an edible bromeliad. And in the Poales, we have grass-like plants. Bamboo is a grass. This is a turf grass. Corn is a grass. This is a ornamental grass that is often grown to add to landscapes. This is called rice, and it is a grass, and out of it we get grain. This is corn, and that is the ear that you're going to get your ear of corn out of. And all of these are different types of grasses in the Poales. We have the Zinjibar Alleys. Now that's a mouthful. And the Zinjibar Alleys includes different types of spices and certain types of spices. This is ginger root, and ginger is part of the Zinjibar Alleys. This is banana, and bananas are part of the Zinjibar Alleys. Bananas get to be larger. Good-sized banana plants can actually get to be somewhere in the vicinity up to about 6 meters in height, about 20 feet. And out of them you get the large banana caches. This is a cache of bananas. Now remember, this is the meristem. The meristem comes out of the center of this stalk and gets pushed all the way up. And then as it comes out, it starts flowering, and each one of the flowers, as they become fertilized, becomes these bananas. This is calla lily. Again, a member of the Zinjibar Alleys. And calla lily, when the lilies are fertilized, they look like this. This is bird of paradise. And again, it's a very interesting member in here. It's a very pretty ornamental in here. And this again is a type of bird of paradise, and this one happens to be inverted. And then we have the Panda Alleys. Panda Alleys, I put this in here because it's a rather unique group. They look like palm trees almost, but they really aren't palm trees. If you look at the base of it, you can see these roots that are coming down and they're sticking into the ground. It does have the narrow strap-shaped leaves, and if you look in the canopy up here, you can see two different things. One thing is this flower, and this flower happens to be the female flower, and out of the female flower you will actually get a female fruit that will look like this. When this matures, the fruit will actually come apart, and you will have these things that kind of look like pine nuts on the inside of it. But it is a monocot in the Panda Alleys, and these are tropical types of plants. So when we look at the monocots, tremendous variation in there. Commonalities are everything is 3-ranked. You have strap-shaped leaves, and you do not have tap roots. You have fibrous type roots. And you have parallel veins in the leaves.